So every so often, a document comes along that doesn't just explain where an industry is. It tries to tell us where it's going. And this week, another document has arrived. It's called the AMP Accords, published by the Alliance for Measurement in Podcasting. At first glance, it's just another 48-page industry white paper. Easy to ignore, easy to bookmark for later. But I don't think this is just another white paper. I think this is one of the most important podcast industry documents we've seen in years. And it's not because every recommendation will be adopted. Of course not. And it's not perfect either. It definitely isn't. But it asks three questions that podcasting has somehow managed to avoid answering for nearly 20 years. What exactly is a podcast? How should we measure it? And how do we prove it actually works? Welcome to Into The Podverse. I'm Tony Doe, and every week we connect the dots across the global podcast industry, tracking the stories, innovations, and opportunities that help creators make smarter decisions. This is where podcasting meets perspective. Let's get into it. Now, those questions might sound academic, but they have real consequences. They determine how advertisers spend money, how platforms classify content, how creators position themselves, and eventually who gets discovered. Let's start with the biggest debate. For years, podcasting has been divided over video. One camp insists podcasts must be distributed through RSS feeds. Another believes that if it's on YouTube, it's just a video show. Then came Spotify's push into video podcasts, and suddenly the definitions became even messier. The AMP Accords attempt to settle the argument with one remarkably simple test. If it works with your eyes closed, it's a podcast. Think about that for a bit. It's probably the cleanest definition I've heard, well, apart from James Cridland's definition, where he says a podcast is something for your ears when your eyes are busy. It doesn't reject video. It doesn't worship RSS. Instead, it asks a more important question. Can the audience understand everything without looking at the screen? If the answer is yes, it's a podcast. If the visuals are essential, if it's a cooking tutorial, a product demonstration, gameplay footage, or a reaction video, then it isn't. I actually like that definition. It protects the identity of podcasting without pretending video doesn't exist. And for those of us who have spent years reminding creators that adding cameras doesn't automatically make content better, it offers a useful way to think about the future. The conversation then moves to measurement. For most of podcasting's history, we've celebrated downloads, 10,000 downloads, 50,000 downloads, 1 million downloads even. The problem is that a download is not the same thing as a listen. It's simply a file transferred from a server to someone's device. Maybe they listened, maybe they did not. Maybe their podcast app downloaded the episode automatically while they were asleep. We've also known that downloads were an imperfect measure, but there wasn't a better alternative. Now, AMP argues that the industry should gradually shift from measuring delivery to measuring consumption. Not downloads, plays, actual listening. Now imagine two podcasts. One gets 100,000 downloads, but only a fraction of those people actually press play. Another gets 30,000 downloads, but almost everyone listens. Under today's system, the first podcast looks more successful. Under the proposed system, the second one suddenly becomes much more valuable. That's a healthier direction for the industry. Quality engagement should matter more than the inflated numbers. The document also spends a lot of time discussing advertising, and understandably so. Advertising pays many of the industry's bills. The authors argue that podcasting leaves billions of advertising dollars on the table because brands don't fully trust the way podcasts are measured. Their solution is better standards, consistent metrics, and improved attribution. Will it happen? Probably, at least in some form. The advertising industry has always demanded common currencies. Television has them, radio has them, digital advertising has them. Podcasting has been operating with a collection of different definitions that don't always agree with one another. And that's becoming harder to justify as the industry grows. But while I admire much of this document, I also think it has a blind spot. Almost every solution is designed around advertisers. Almost every success metric comes back to advertising confidence. Yet, podcasting has evolved. Many creators today earn more from memberships, consulting, live events, premium content, training, books, and community than they do from advertising. Podcasting is no longer just an advertising business. It's becoming an audience business. There's another observation as well that struck me while reading through the acknowledgements and the list of contributors. The conversations shaping podcasting's future are still happening largely in North America. Spotify, Apple, Oxford Road, Libsyn, SiriusXM, excellent organizations doing important work. But where is Africa? Where is Latin America? Where is much of Asia? The standards being written today will eventually influence creators everywhere, including Nigeria, whether we participate in writing them or not. And that's why documents like this are important. For me, the biggest takeaway is not actually the new definition of a podcast or the new measurement framework. It is that podcasting is growing up. Industries mature when they begin agreeing on standards, when they stop arguing over basic definitions, when measurement becomes more reliable, when trust increases, and when creators are rewarded for genuine audience attention rather than vanity metrics. Where the AMP Accords become the industry standard remains to be seen. The document itself makes it clear these are recommendations and not rules. But even if only half of these ideas are adopted, they will influence the next generation of podcast platforms, analytics tools, and advertising models. For African podcasters, this is not a document to dismiss because it was written elsewhere. It is actually a document to study, to critique, to adapt, and perhaps most importantly, to respond to. Because if Africa wants a seat at the table where podcasting's future is being defined, we can't simply consume the conversation. We have to contribute to it. As we prepare for Podverse Niger 2026, I also want to take a moment to acknowledge someone who has helped move the Nigerian podcast conversation forward. Tosin Adefeko. Building an industry takes more than producing great content. It takes creating spaces where people can meet, learn, collaborate, and imagine what is possible together. Through Podverse Niger, Tosin and her team have done exactly that, bringing creators, brands, and storytellers under one roof and reminding us that we're stronger as a community than as isolated voices. As this year's festival approaches on September 25, I hope everyone attending comes ready to contribute and not just consume. Share what you've learned, ask difficult questions, build new relationships, support emerging creators, and most importantly, remember that the future of Nigerian podcasting won't be built by one person or one event. It will be built by all of us together. To Tosin and everyone working behind the scenes to make Podverse Niger happen, thank you for doing the work. Wishing you a successful 2026 edition. See you at Podfest. My guy, permit yourself to pause. Even the best storytellers need silence before the next story. Independent podcasting is a marathon disguised as a weekly deadline. You wear every hat: host, producer, editor, marketer, strategist, and sometimes your own biggest critic. It's easy to believe that if you stop, everything stops. It doesn't. Take the break when you need it. Rest your voice. Clear your mind. Live a little. The conversations worth recording often come from the life you experience away from the microphone. Your audience would rather wait an extra week for a thoughtful episode than receive one made from exhaustion. Consistency matters, yes, but sustainability matters more. The goal isn't to publish the most episodes. It is to build something you'll still be proud to create years from now. So step away if you need to. Recharge without guilt. Then come back with fresh energy and a story only you can tell. If you found today's episode useful, share it with another podcaster, producer, or media professional. The future of podcasting won't be shaped by technology alone. It will be shaped by the people willing to understand where this industry is heading and help decide what comes next. I'm Tony Doe. This has been Into the Podverse.